Hello there everyone and welcome. I do hope that you're having a crafty day so far. So today we are going to be creating this card and we're going to be creating the kind of pop art floral look with different colours from different colour families. So to start with, I am using the Delightful Day stamp set from Altenew, and this is a really great one because it works perfectly with the stamp wheel. So as you can see, I am using the stamp wheel here, and what we have is we have like a little crosshair in the centre, and this is actually going to line up with the little crosshair that we have on the stamp. So the stamp for the flowers and also the leaves have a crosshair on them, and it means that all of the images for this layered flower are all on this stamp, and all you need to do is line up that centerpiece there and then kind of rotate as you are stamping. So as I want to use smaller kind of pieces of cardstock just to kind of get it lined up with the flower itself, just one of them, I am adding a couple of little strips just to kind of pull the little piece of cardstock that I have here away from the side, so I'm not going to be wasting any cardstock. So for the first layer, I am going to be using the Iceberg ink from Altenew. So I'm just going to ink up the base layer. It does have some kind of small highlights on this one, so it's not a solid image, but it is very, very pretty. So I have done that one in the Iceberg. Now I wanted it slightly darker, so I've just inked it up again and just stamped it directly over the one that we have done. So we've got 2 layers of Iceberg down there. I'm then going to move on to the second flower layer. So I'm just going to twist my image around. And for the second one, I am going to be using the Lavender Fields ink. So this is a purple. So firstly, we went with a blue, and now we are adding a purple color on top. And this is going to give us that kind of pop art look, which is very, very pretty. So once I have done that one, I'm then going to do the third layer. And for this one here, I will be using the Magenta ink. So we've used 3 different color families. We use blue, purple, and pink, but they all work perfectly together. So as you can see, my kind of stamps are sticking to my sticky mat, but I have a way to kind of get around that one later on, which I will show you. So for the outside image, I am going to be using the Galactic Stream, but I did end up going over the top of this one with some obsidian, but you are able to get different looks with the kind of different outline color that you use. So this is going to give us more of a soft look, and then if you used obsidian, it will give you a darker kind of more crisp look that way. As you can see, again, it is getting a little bit stuck there. So instead of me trying to work with that one again, what I did do is I am going to take a piece of cardstock and I'm just going to place the piece of cardstock right in the corner. So that's going to kind of mask off the sticky mat that I don't need. So I don't want to go over the piece of cardstock that I've placed down because it's not going to give me a great stamping area. So I've just trimmed off the piece that I don't actually need. So this is a step that you don't actually need to do, but I do find that it's helpful if your stamp is getting stuck to your sticky mat. So I am going to stamp another one of these flowers. I did end up stamping a lot of them because it was so easy to do, but I only used 2 of them on my project. So for the base, I used 2 layers of the Iceberg ink. Then for the second layer, which I'm stamping here, I went for the Lavender Fields ink. I'm then going to twist my plate around, and I am going to be using the Magenta for the third and most detail layer that we have there. And then once that is done, I can go in with the obsidian. So this time around, I did go in with the obsidian, and it is going to give us that kind of darker, crisper look. And I do feel for the end card, the obsidian does work best. So I went ahead and just stamped over the other image that I had previously done before, just to kind of go with the obsidian outline rather than the Galactic Stream. But you can see how different they are there. I'm then going to add the stamp into place a different way this time. So instead of putting the stamp on the crosshair, I've placed the stamp down and then I've gone in with the plate and then gone directly over the top with the crosshair. So there are a number of different ways that you kind of can do it, but it's completely up to you, whichever you find easiest. So the strips I had for the flower were the wrong size for the leaves. So all I've done is I'm just going to trim some more strips just to add in. So I have one at the side and I'm just going to add one at the bottom as well. These are thicker and I'm just going right up to where the leaf edge is. So I can just stamp that on small pieces of cardstock. It just saves me wasting a lot of cardstock by putting it right into the corner. So I've just made myself a little guide. So to start with, I am going to go in with the outline first. So for the outline, I am going to go in with the obsidian ink and I'm just going to stamp that one into place onto my little piece of cardstock that we have. Then for my second little piece of leaf, this is just 2 little leaves, and for these ones here, I'm going to go in with the marshland ink. Just going to remove some of the ink from the next kind of layer before stamping that down there. Then for the third layer, I'm just going to mask off those little leaves just to the side, just using a piece of cardstock. And for this layer here, I will be going in with the sea forest ink to add those into place. If you do get it over the other kind of images, just clean it off with a rag or your finger, and then you're going to be able to stamp that down perfectly. So once that one has been done, that's our second layer in there. I am going to go in with the third layer, and this is just going to add some detail to the top 2 leaves, the darker 2. And for this one here, I'm going to go in with the mangrove root ink. So I'm just going to ink that up and then stamp that back into place. I did stamp a number of different leaves as well, all in the same way, but I did have a lot of leaves that I created, but I did only use 3 in the final piece. So I am just going to add in my centerpiece to the flowers, and this is just going to stamp directly into the little stamens that we have, and I'm just going to be using some of the pumpkin pie ink to add those into place. I love this kind of dusty kind of yellow color that we have here. It is so pretty and works so well with the colors that we have. I am going to die cut all of my images, so I'm just going to take the coordinating dies that we have from the die set, and I'm just going to place them around the images because they're kind of open face dies. You can see exactly where these are going to cut, and I'm just going to add a little bit of the satin masking tape just around the images on the die so it doesn't move while I die cut them. So now I have all of my images, and you can see that I did create a lot, but I have lots for different projects as well. I just went ahead and popped this onto a card base, but then decided it needed a little bit more just to make it pop a little bit. So I have a piece of jet black cardstock here, which is 3 inches by 4 1/4. And I think that just in the center of that 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 white card base really does make these images pop a little bit more. Now, but because I've done that and we have that black background as well as the white kind of borders around all of the images, we kind of need to disguise those. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my arrangement where I want it to be. I'm then going to add a little bit of masking tape just to keep them together. And I'm just going to mark off where that black outline ends. So I'm just adding it on the kind of white border that we have on the die cuts, and I'm just kind of going along where that background stops, but I'm not going to go over the images. I just want to mark on the little borders. That's all I'm doing here, and I'm just using a fine liner pen from Altenew. I am using black because I am going to be using black to kind of disguise those edges. So all I'm going to do now is I am going to colour with a jet black artist marker all of those little edges that are going to be within the black outline. I do want to keep the white tips of the images if they're going to come over the black background, because I don't want them to look stark against the white background rather than the white looking stark against the black. We do want to kind of just disguise it, but only disguise it enough on the black. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm just going to be colouring up to those little edges that we created with the fine line pen, and then once I'm happy with the amount I've coloured, so all the stuff that's going to be on the black, and then just going to use some of the Instant Dimension foam tape from Altenew, and I'm just going to add that into place. So I do one at a time and then adhere it down while I go with it. And then I find this is the easiest way to do it. So I'm just kind of arranging it back into place, you can see where it needs to go, because you do have those little guidelines that you've created with the colouring, because the black bits should be on the black and then the white should be on the white. So I have sped this up and kind of moved forward a little bit, because I don't think you wanted to see me colour in all of the backgrounds, but I'm just going to finish up this flower here. Again, I did all of them one at a time. Once I'm happy with the colouring and not going over the bit that's going to be on the white, I'm then going to add some foam tape and then add it into place. So you can see that we have all of the black outlines on the black background and the white outlines on the white. So I'm just going to add my sentiment into place, and I did use the Billowing Peonies stamp set, and I stamped that just at the bottom onto the card base using some obsidian ink. I'm then going to add my panel into place, a little bit of Instant Dimension foam tape, and then popped into place, and that completes my card. I really do hope that you like my card and that you've enjoyed the video as well. If you do create a card that was inspired by this, it'd be great if you do share, because we'd love to see. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you again really, really soon. Bye-bye. Hey there, Lydia here. I really do hope that you've just enjoyed the video. If so, please subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, turn on the notification bell so you can get your daily dose of crafty techniques and tutorials just like this. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.